It says we're live. It'll take a second. People will start populating in. Oh man, this is going to be a good one. And I don't know if you saw my live from earlier today, but Annalisa Bruner was telling us, and one of her relatives was in the Tulsa, race massacre and had written a book about that. So that was such a compelling conversation. I'm looking forward to another one today with Rachel at This Woman Votes and Anthony Christian. My first time talking with you. You guys have had so many insightful comments, and we just wanted to kind of cover the messaging that we have to impose upon the Democrats because instead of just like laying down and letting fascism win all the time, how about this?
Yep.
How about if we fight back with some truth? So I'll turn it over to you guys.
How about we align with the plan, right? I think that part of the reason, and this is going to sound crazy, but the Trump administration in this current regime is being very effective at doing what they want to do. It looks like a clown show from the outside. We all look at this and think, oh my God, one incompetent idiot after another. What are you doing? But that is part of their plan. They are being effective at doing what they wanted to do. And I think that, yeah. And I think that part of the reason, when we were talking with Pat last week or the other day, um, I really wanted to sort of think about how they started this. Where did it start, and what do we need to do to respond? Because how do we help align candidates to produce what we want them to do? How do we, one of the things that I love about Mamdani is the fact that he manages to be so disciplined about his messaging.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He stays on message. He doesn't get flustered. He does a good job at controlling narrative, and everything today that is happening with the GOP is like this really, it seems crazy, but it is a rigorous control of what their message is and the direction they want to go. And part of that is because they started with a plan, and that plan has been in progress for over 40 years.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit early about sort of the Heritage Project and Project 2025. But when you think about all of the Lego blocks of what they've built, right? Part of the reason that we struggle on the left is that it's really difficult for us to get cohesion collectively, because the left has all these different ideas, and we all want to bring ideas, right?
Yeah,
And
we don't work
so
like that.
we don't work like that. So what we need to think about is sort of the ability to take a modular approach. The way that they did it. And so in 1973, the Heritage Project started. And in 1973, the ALEC project started. And ALEC in particular was really focused on local policy. But when you take a look at how everything kind of filters up and down through the chain, what happens with ALEC is ALEC legislates at the local level and at the state level. And then once they get some capture or saturation and capture at the state level, they roll it up to the federal level. So that's how you get sort of cohesive movement of states aligned. And once the states aligned, it pulls up to the federal. And then all of a sudden, this is where we're at, right? So you've got Heritage that's sort of defining all the acceptable solutions. You've got ALEC that is distributing law at scale, right? They're distributing legislative packages, and the legislature is going to operate on what makes it easy for them. To the best of my knowledge, there isn't a really solid left side corollary to ALEC. I mean, we've got like the Economic Policy Institute, and we've got the Center for American Progress, and they do policy frameworks. And then you've got sort of this really light state level distribution with the State Innovation Exchange and the Working Families Party, but they're all like so loosely, they're not even loosely connected. They kind of know each other exist, but they don't act together, which is part of the problem. Then you have Project 2025, and Project 2025, sure, there's policy and there's framework and that other stuff, but I think the real root of why Project 2025 is so successful is that what they do when they walk in the door with a Project 2025 binder in their hands is they have a list of resources, and not just a list of resources by, these are all the lawyers that we can bring into DOJ. These are all the, the economists rather, and, all of these different people. It includes rigorous succession planning. And I want to sort of throw out an example because we all knew Kristi Noem wasn't going to last. Like, I think we saw that coming. And when she became a liability, they already had someone queued up. Mm-hmm. But what was interesting about the Mark Wayne Mullen is that you could see, if you were paying attention to Fox News, you could see Mark Wayne Mullen happening. You saw his little cowboy hijinks in 2021 going over to Afghanistan. They started trotting him out more frequently on Fox News in 2023. By 2025, they were using him as a mouthpiece for the regime. And by 2026, he's been socialized with the base. People know his name, this obscure, uneducated bonehead from Oklahoma. Like, what's he got, an associate degree? Yeah. I mean, like, he's not exactly screaming competence. What he is screaming is performative masculinity. He's perfect for them, right? He performs masculinity. He's a brash talking cowboy. They love that. And entitled, right? And so Kristi Noem shits the bed in front of Congress, and they're like, she's got to go. Let's slot Mark Wayne in there because he's already been socialized with the base. So it's not, Project 2025 isn't just personnel operating, it's succession planning. And when I think about what we could have done on the left from a succession planning perspective, Nancy Pelosi should already be grooming her replacement. It should be a slotting process to bring someone new in. It did not happen. Feinstein, like every single Democrat should have 3 to 5 people that they have been grooming in the good way for their replacement. Every single one of them. The fact that Biden didn't get 2 years into his admin and say, look, I've received a diagnosis. I'm going to resign and make Kamala president. That would have been the most responsible thing to do in the world. Like, that is what should have been happening. So the final piece of the capture is sort of the Federalist Society, and the Federalist really stables everything through judicial interpretation, right? So when you have these building blocks in place, when you have an environment where Ronald Reagan at his very first cabinet meeting, Ronald Reagan gave every single person in his cabinet a copy of the Mandate for Leadership. The Mandate for Leadership was straight out of the Heritage Foundation. It was an aligning policy document that gave them all the tools to say, this is what we're building. This is the framework we're building and how we can move forward with this. And it is that got us here where we are today. They built all of these Lego blocks that interchanged and were adaptable enough to survive every time they had a fracture, right? Because they fractured in 2004 with the Tea Party. There was a big fracture with the Tea Party, and then everything sort of started clicking together again. There was a pretty big fracture under George Bush. There was a big fracture under Trump's last
last term.
Yeah. Sorry, my brain is clicking in and out of focus right now. But like every time they fracture, because everything is so modular, they just re-click back together. They're grabbing just Lego blocks. We don't have any fucking blocks. And that's the problem.
You're right. You're totally right. We don't have any blocks. And if you remember, you know how Laura Trump got started? You remember she was handing out talking points like to the Supreme Court, to all the conservatives. Okay. And so here's my point right now. We have enough ammo just in the media sphere, ICE, freaking the SAVE Act, right? To coordinate talk. All we need is like 10 or 20 Democrats in leadership to coordinate talking points on hostile media and legacy media. That's freaking easy. That can be done for free. You know what I mean? They'll probably even get paid for doing segments. And so that's the one step. But we need to focus on coordinated messaging at the state level, right? Across, and this is the problem. Every states are different, but so much of the media sphere is focused on federal policies that anytime local groups get talking points, they're asked questions on shit that they have no idea. I'm not voting on that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we could do a better job at working locally and getting new leaders, because let's be real, there is no fucking way that we are going to somehow get leadership in Congress or the Senate. We may get a couple of elected leaders, but we need to start like at the state level, and we need to hit new Democrats, new progressives, and coordinate talking points.
Yes.
Across topics. This shit is easy. I mean, Epstein, oh my God, they could have totally weaponized that. You know, the Democrats came up with pedal protectors. Okay, that's great. That's what they are. But the fact that you could weaponize all of that data in the media sphere, right? And I get comments all the time. Oh, the media would never let them play these ads. The media would never do it. They're on the media right now. Don't tell me that they can't go on there and coordinate talking points, small variations of the same shit, right? Like yesterday, I posted how many times does anybody know how many times? Sorry, my earpiece keeps falling out. How many times do we know if the Democrats tried to pass TSA funding and Coast Guard funding, right? Yeah. We don't know that number. Everybody had to look it up. That's my freaking point, because there's no coordinated messaging on it. Where if it was me, I would be hammering every fucking day. Another one, they freaking, they blocked it. Another one, they blocked it again. And those types of things seep into the freaking media sphere, and then they get clipped, right?
Yep.
So we have the weapons. It's just facts. That's what blows my damn mind, man.
Yes.
We could weaponize facts. Holy shit. It's like there's food on the table and you're starving. You're like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna eat that. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things you guys said, I think it's super important. The most important thing, everybody in the chat, the first thing, run for school board, people. That's where this battle is. That's the most important office that anybody can get. And the problem is, and I keep coming around to this, because the people on the right, they have their simple message because white supremacists believe a narrative instead of the truth. So they deny reality so they can believe their white supremacy bullshit. But that's actually a weakness. And as we talk about this, because it seems like they're all in lockstep.
People. Yeah, that's how we break people. That's how we break people out with that. Something happens in their lives. Yes, and then they're like,
but it seems
is that right?
It seems like a strength, but it actually is a weakness. But as we observe it, it's like they're always in lockstep. Our strength is that we have to have a coalition. We have academic disagreements. We approach things because we have the truth on our side. It's just that the truth isn't that simple.
Everybody has their own. Everybody's like, I want to do my thing and this will work, right? But really, it's simple. Coordination is free. Repetition is freaking free. If I had to say anything to any progressive senators or congressional leader in office, coordinate at least 3 or 4 talking points across ICE, the economy, the war, Those are freaking easy. You weaponize the talking points. They are factual. Look at what they did to Iran right now.
Yeah.
Iran has so much leverage. Oh my gosh. And when that choke point does open, guess what? It's going to be conditional for the United States, right?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. What you're saying is really important. And I've been trying to do this with these progressive candidates I've been interviewing. I'm like, quit talking about raising taxes. Start talking about billionaire welfare. It's like, that's the phrasing. It's like, we give billions of dollars to rich people.
Yeah.
Everybody in red districts, they'll hear that. It's like, stop giving my taxpayer money to these rich assholes. But
They could weaponize that
they could.
in such a way,
But get this.
especially. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, and I mean is because the progressives will come and talk to me. The establishment Democrats refuse to talk to me, and so this is another big issue: is that all those big money Washington Democrats, they refuse to even listen. Exactly, they won't listen to the kind of coordinated messaging because they refuse to talk to a person.
Who the fuck are these people? I want to know. What? You have a freaking whole comm staff. What are they fucking doing? You know what I mean? Because the same old shit is not freaking working. And I see it with the slogans. I see it with when they come out and they, say something at the podium, right? I can see that tailored freaking donor safe language. And that's just not how we are anymore. You know what I mean? None of that shit sinks in. And then it's like, man, right? Here are some facts. You don't push back on really anything. The fact that we have to look up how many times GOP has blocked a funding package for TSA.
Everybody should know that. Everybody should know that number. When I saw your post, I was like, oh, let me Google that because I couldn't tell you. And I am chronically online. I am online and plugged in like it's almost embarrassing how much time I am spending on news. What's up?
I said, I bet you this. All three of us could post 2 or 3 GOP talking points with regard to not funding. Right? Not funding, guys.
Yep.
But see, that's the difference because they're repetition, coordinated messaging, and I put that in the narrative system.
One of the attack points that we should be using, and I sort of was thinking about this the other day because I put up a post, I did some analysis, I was doing some background on the SAVE Act, and one of my takeaways from the research that I was doing on the SAVE Act is that it's actually going to more likely impact more Republican women than it will across the board, right? And so instead of hammering away at what they were doing, if the Democrats wanted to reach someone that was going to have a real impact, what we should be trying to do is broadcasting to Republicans. You need to call your senators because Republican women, they are going to take your voting rights away. Republican women need to look up. And I had done a post the other day. I had seen something on a video on TikTok, and this woman posted this message. Is like, I don't know what the big deal is. I can get a passport just by running down to CVS. First, no, bitch, you can't. Second of all, like, wake the fuck up because if you don't have I'm flying home to Florida because I live in Oregon. But I own property in Florida. I own a home in Florida. I am flying home to Florida so that I can vote, right? Because I don't trust vote by mail from the state of Florida because the state of Florida has a vested interest in me not voting, right? Passport, marriage certificate, name change information. I've got a little packet of documents that cost me, give or take, $300, right? And then I'm going to get on a $657 airplane ride to Florida, and I'm going to stay there for 3 days, which means that I have, I'm staying in a hotel because my ex-husband has access to my premarital asset as a part of our agreement. So I will be staying at a hotel. So I have hotel costs. I have give or take $2,500 is what it's going to cost me to vote in this next election. Now, I mean, $2,500 is kind of a lot of money to a lot of people. That's
To vote.
it's more than my rent payment in Oregon, you know?
Yep.
So we have to have a much better understanding of how to
Yeah.
reach out to the right and not the politicians on the right, because fuck every last
Yeah.
one of those assholes,
I
but
yeah.
to the base. We have to reach the base. We have to bring this to Nebraska. This has to be brought to
Arkansas.
forsaken Arkansas. Like, these messages need to be given to them, because right now the only message that they're receiving on the SAVE Act is, we're keeping immigrants out of it. We're preserving the safety of American voting. No, you're going to disenfranchise Republican women across the country. That's the message that every single progressive candidate, every single Democrat should be getting through to them. The other side of that is they should absolutely be getting this message to their legislators, because the legislation in this country and the inability for them to think step 2, step 3, step 4 is killing us. They do not look ahead because they are outsourcing that thinking to ALEC, right?
Yep.
And ALEC has a vested interest in putting forward what they want to put forward without having a better understanding of the structure from the legislative perspective. They don't understand, right? Our legislators aren't lawyers writing laws. They're being spoon-fed information by ALEC,
Talking
and then they're
points.
proposing that law, and it becomes a law, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, fetal personhood screws up IVF?
Yeah.
What? Oh my God, that wasn't what we intended. Well, asshole, if you knew anything about writing a law instead of just being spoon-fed information from ALEC, you'd have figured that out. I don't know, maybe you should have read this. Maybe you should have thought 2, 3 steps ahead. But
Yeah, they don't
our
read.
legislature cannot be relied upon to do that. And yes, they do have staff, but their staff have all been put in place by Project 2025. So at the end of the day,
So
go ahead.
no, you're absolutely right. And I mean, I wrote about this a year ago, and I'm like, look, as soon as Trump takes office, the Democrats really, within the first week, a bunch of shit happened. A bunch of shit happened, and ICE was going out and grabbing people. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, number one, the economy in the red areas went to shit, right? They pulled USDA. There was so many things.
A 46% increase in bankruptcies for the American farmer this year.
Yeah, how hard would it have been for the Democrats? Nonpartisan ads in those areas. You voted. Now you're unemployed. Now your farm is bankrupt. That's it. That is it. Same thing with the
and simple things. It should be simple things. Hey, did you lose your farm? Call this 800 number.
Yeah.
Right. And then process those calls and say, tell me about losing your farm. Let's talk about what happened.
That everywhere.
Like, mass market that everywhere. Like I've been in the call center business for a really long time, so I think of a lot of these solutions in terms of how I would answer that phone call, right?
Yep.
Like how are we not, as a group of progressives, how are we not running billboards throughout the entire Midwest that says, we're so sorry you lost your farm, please call this 800 number? And gathering information about who they are, what they lost. Is there anything we can do to help? But also, can we get you to talk about what you've lost, right? Because we're not, to the best of my knowledge, we are not doing any of that. And if we have completely given up, if none of us as progressives are capable of sitting in a high conflict environment in the Midwest with people who are suffering and being able to say, I see that you're suffering. I'm sorry you voted for this. However, there are other solutions. Let's talk about the fact that, when I say I want universal health care, I want it for you too.
Mhm.
When I say that I want UBI, I want it for you too.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about, what, all of the sort of the people you don't want to get services, right? Because that's the other hump to get over. These people piss and moan about welfare queens and that messaging that again
Yeah.
came out of Reagan, right? But the real welfare queens in this country are billionaires.
Yeah.
Like that's the welfare queen that
Yep.
that all the progressives should be talking about.
I want to say, and it's just Democrats, they surrender the messaging. And I mean, this brainstorming is great. And these are ideas. I mean, I've been trying to come up with all these messages too. But
Yep.
we should recognize our Washington, D.C. corporate Democrats are the most educated of all our politicians.
Yep.
They are aware of this and they are making a deliberate choice not to do this. And
Right.
this is why I call that group Blue MAGA. They are as
Yeah.
against us as Red MAGA is. And this is why I've been forcefully trying to get progressives in there that actually listen to us. I mean, you
Yep.
brought up the example of Nancy Pelosi before, not bringing up somebody behind her. She hasn't done that, but she's sure spent a lot of time and energy and your donations blocking people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from inheriting more power. So
There is more.
they have
Right.
Blue MAGA deliberately obstructs our ability. So we have to recognize it is the
Right.
saboteurs within the Democratic Party we have to deal with first. And we can start reaching out. I've been saying it's like you want to appeal to moderate Republicans? Well, guess who they hate? They hate Nancy Pelosi, they hate Hillary Clinton. So rather than surrender like you guys want to, which is totally unacceptable to suggest we should surrender the transgender community, which is a whole community. Well, no, those are people. We are going to defend them. But if you are insisting on surrendering
Yep.
somebody, give them Hillary Clinton, and give them Nancy Pelosi, and give them those corporate Democrats that work against our interests. That would work.
Yeah. We're gonna have to create like a look. I'm working on something. I mean, the only other thing I can think about is creating some type of freaking shadow coordinated messaging arm underneath, and like
It's us.
that
It's
moves,
Substack. It's
that
us.
moves up. You know, and here's the thing. It's really easy right now. It is super freaking easy to come up with coordinated messages right now across topics, Iran, right? All
Yeah.
that shit. It is,
Yep.
it is enough. I forgot the word I was going to say. It's not rocket science. That's my
Right.
This shit is easy. Effective messaging, coordinated messaging on legacy media, on hostile media, is what breaks the systemic
Yeah.
warfare, right? That the Republicans have implemented against
Yep.
the American people. That's the
Yep.
only way that you can do it. There's no other, look, there's other ways, right? Long term, a decade out. But we have to use the media system as it is. We do not control it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
So the only effective way
Well,
to go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was going to say now that the last of the media has been fully captured by Larry Ellison,
Yeah.
I mean, we are only left with essentially independent media. The idea that any of this is going to get any real coverage by any organization that is run by the Ellison Group, I mean, it just
Nope.
it's
I agree.
crazy,
I agree. I just think that Democrats are doing segments already, and it is nothing. So questions are
Yeah.
framed from the regime talking point. These are opportunities to speak back, right? When things are framed in that way, look, Democrats are going to be on the news. They're all going to be on legacy media, right?
Yeah.
And all we need is
Yes.
10 or 20 to just be badass online, not accept the framing. And then we need them to go to hostile media. Facts, we see it all the time, right? We have a bunch of blue influencers who go
Yep.
on hostile media and those things get clipped. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
the blue influencers are doing the work that the Democrats actually
Yes.
should be fucking doing.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
the
Right,
Democrats
right,
should be
but-
coming
but-
and talking to us. Yeah.
But they even own the influence networks because Larry Ellison now owns TikTok. right? And TikTok is a really big channel for left-wing influence. And the fact of the matter is that people are being suppressed. The messages aren't getting out there. We have to put time, energy, and real money into funding our own communication channels, independent communication channels. The fact that there wasn't a single person to step up and fund the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, like billionaires, like left-wing billionaires in this country, nobody thought, we should probably keep the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. That would be a great idea. It might be the last standing arm of left-leaning communication.
Yeah, we're gonna have to create like I said, we're just gonna have to create like a shadow coordination underneath, right? And we're gonna have to start from the bottom, local, state, new progressives, because it's got to be new people, because it's not going to be any of the old people.
Well,
I mean,
it's not going to be the old guard. It's not going to be the corporate corporate Democrats. It's going to be. We need new, young, and look.
Yes.
I am 57 years old, and I am going to be the most ageist asshole with this statement. But we need more young people engaged in this process. We need the Frosts of the world who can really do fantastic work. We need more young people. I truly believe that we're going to see the best, most interesting work out of the youth. I was on with Dana and Lawrence on their Fucked Up Friday for the Daily Whatever. And my contribution to Fucked Up Friday was a story about this judge, this 98-year-old judge that was having to go all the way to the Supreme Court to get her ability to adjudicate back, because her entire cohort of judges in her circuit basically voted her out because she was getting a lot senile, and they didn't feel like she was still capable of adjudication. And like 98 years old, lifetime appointment, zero requirement for retirement, zero requirement for succession planning.
Yeah.
We have to have, it can't just be, we have to have a plan. These people had a 50-year plan.
Yeah.
We have to have messaging. We have to have succession planning. And we have to have some modular, coordinated effort, because it is the modularity that allows this to not just sustain, but to scale, right? You've got to be able to scale. And I think that from a structural building perspective, we have to have a system that enables trust, versioning, like real transparent provenance of information. It's got to be adaptable. It's got to be scalable. It's got to be the building blocks that we need to
we do that,
to build things forward. Because how they took us over, how they literally took over the entire goddamn government was legally on messaging, right? On coordination, on personnel management.
I think not, though. I think they also cheated. I think the Republicans rig elections. So I think there is an illegal element.
Yeah.
But
I think there is an illegal element for certain.
But I want to say, because we keep kind of hoping, and I like this. I mean, what we're talking about is this think tank that's required, because there really is no organization for humanity in the United States. There's not. And I think we kind of get frustrated because we want the Democrats to be that. The Democrats clearly are not that. The Democratic establishment is just as much right wing, just not quite as lawless as the Republicans.
Right.
But the incentive system, man. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just the incentive system, right?
Yeah.
The incentive is donors. It's not Americans. They only need us a little bit, right? But ultimately, it's the donors. And so when we build this thing, we've got to change the incentive system. So much of what politicians do is we can't see it until later. You know what I mean?
And I want to mention, because I've been interviewing all these progressive candidates. I've been talking with Emily Berge, who's in my district here. And she was like, a primary is the most healthy thing you can have for democracy because the Democrats, they don't lose elections if you have two people canvassing a district, getting everybody excited, giving them information, doing exactly what Rachel was saying, telling people all these problems. The Democrats specifically told her not to run because they had their APAC fundraising candidate already
They had their bought and paid for
Yes.
candidate that they could control.
That is our problem. We have to get our candidates in, but first we have to recognize the DNC as it is against us. They are not helping us we have to reform the DNC. That's our first battle.
And we got to do it from the inside in a way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because look, we all three of us here, people are like, yeah, I'm not voting. You know what I mean? The Democrats are corrupt. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But you change from the inside. And while that is happening, while we're putting people, all of the community organizing, it's like a massive, things that meet in the middle. You know, and the only way to really do something different is to change the incentive. Right. And how do we get things that are not visible to us in front of the public? You should not, like federal politicians, they get a ton of donations right before a vote.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Most Americans don't realize how donations are weaponized, right? So some company will dump $1,200, $5,000 into a Democrat's campaign arm account, right? And we take that money and we're like, look what they did. They're guilty. You know what I mean? And they throw somebody else to run against that candidate. And so we need to be really freaking diligent here. Support. And look, I'm doing a thing on donations because I want to explain to people how donations are weaponized. Real support. If you look at AIPAC and you look at their support, you can look at the individual super PACs that they donate to, and you can see so much cash going through there. But one donation to a campaign arm of an elected official on the Democratic side, I'm going to wonder. I'm going to say, hey, what vote is coming up? And what's going on here? Because especially if that elected leader has a super PAC, you know what I mean? Why would they dump it into the campaign arm? And here's the thing. We have all kinds of tools that track donations and report donations. But unless we don't have anything that tracks donations that are denied, we don't have anything that tracks donations that are returned, unless it's in the media and someone posts about it. And
do they really return it, right? There's this
seriously.
There are rules and triggers in place. I saw when Mamdani's mother-in-law contributed to his campaign, right? And he got in trouble for it, and he gave the money back, and it was his mother-in-law, right? And there were a few that came in, like family members and other stuff. And there are some controls in place, not nearly enough. There is some transparency in place, not nearly enough. And, I did a deep dive last year into how campaign finance works because I wanted to understand what was happening with how AIPAC is able to funnel dark money. I wanted to understand dark money, right?
Yeah.
And how dark money works, because dark money is all about layering and filtering money. It's about you set up a charity that doesn't have to disclose its contributors, and then that charity can give 49% of their total funds to a political campaign, right?
Yeah.
And so then you have a charity contributing to a PAC, contributing to a campaign, and now you're 3 degrees of separation going on.
Yeah.
Then you have charities contributing to charities, Then you've got 6 degrees of separation going on. So nobody knows where any of this real money comes from.
Yeah.
And it's all being funneled. And there are plenty of PACs that will fund both sides of the aisle because they don't really care who wins. They just want to have a stake in the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They
Well, those
want their
third-party
influence.
progressive or those progressive challengers, those oh man, it means so much. I mean, if we can
Yep.
get 10 of these progressive people in office this time and then 10 the next time, and that's why I
The
keep
Yeah.
saying
thing
they want to control all the messages.
just to compete, we have to like it's almost a given that
Well,
Yeah.
some super PACs need to be set up just so we can compete at the level where money is coming in like unfiltered outside the campaign. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that because that's the incentive system that we have, and
Well,
it's shitty.
and I keep telling people, even on Substack, there are a lot of status quo creators. Like there's all these big creators. And I keep reaching out to a lot of them and saying, hey, here's all the candidates. These are great candidates. Please interview them. You know, you've got 50,000 or 100,000 subscribers. You can be the difference. And they refuse to interview those people. And it's just sort of
Right.
like these are the guys who are
Because-
pretending to be alternative media, but they are not. They are status quo people. So I want everybody to be really discriminating in who they support. And if you're not
Yep.
seeing these big creators give a platform to these progressive voices, stop financially supporting them, please, and support the ones
Yeah.
who are.
It's
So
important.
There are some resources available. I dropped a link to the campaign finance
Oh, great.
piece, the series that I did last year in the chat. One of the things that you can come away with from that series is some links and resources for you to be able to look up who got what money from where. And you can kind of start chasing the money a little bit. But the Brennan Center for Justice is another way that you can look up any like left-sided PACs, right? So Future Forward USA has give or take about $900 million that they've put out there. Priorities USA is another one. There are a couple of very small organizations. And I say very small. I'm saying very small organizations at $900 million because today
Yeah.
the average Senate run costs $25 million
Yeah.
just to get in the game.
Seriously,
Like,
it's
like-
that deep in it.
it is so incredible that we are talking about tens of millions of dollars in a way that's like, oh, it's little small money. Like, what the actual fuck are we talking about? That it costs
Seriously.
$25 million to field a single candidate for Senate. You know, we talk about the need to primary people, but if you're trying to primary someone in a state legislature, you're going to spend $2.5 to $5 million
Yeah.
at the state level, and that does vary quite a bit by state.
Look at
But let's say you want to
Supreme
take,
Court seat.
well,
It was 20 million.
yeah,
The Wisconsin Supreme Court race in
Oh,
April.
yeah.
right.
Those are
Well, I
illegal donations too. I mean, they should be in jail for those donations. That he broke
Yeah.
all kinds of laws, and of
Yeah.
course they always get away with that. One of the things I came with my other talk was we can't underestimate the ingenuity of the corrupt, you know, and it's just sort of like all of us, we just face economic terrorism. We're just trying to feed our kids. And that's a certain level of I'm giving all my effort. But there's a whole nother level if you've just killed somebody, right? And that's what we're up against. These guys that are trying to change all of history, make sure the flow of money, make sure things never go their way. But like people talking about saying like progressive messages aren't, it's a lie to say a progressive message isn't popular. They're all popular everywhere they've done a poll. The progressive, and it's the Democrats, the establishment Democrats, they are afraid of losing control. We saw when Mamdani, with much less money, he just comes out and starts speaking real to people. And even though we don't
Yeah.
have the media access, people then are like, "Oh my God, finally, there it is!" And that's what scares the
His
establishment.
volunteer base was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, and also as someone who has spent a lot of time in New York, and that's a very large population of people that very much take the "that's not my business" approach to life. And yet the level of engagement that he brought to the table with a relatively cynical population was incredible. And the reason he did it is because he was authentic. He was disciplined. He understood that I'm not going to talk about what all of the, I'm not going to spend all of my energy talking about these people. I'm going to spend my energy talking about how I'm going to move this city forward, how I am going to solve problems for the average New Yorker. And that's important. That is the model that actually works.
Yeah.
And so
go ahead. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't even mean to. I was just going to say, remember when Mamdani was running the campaign, and then he won. The establishment messaging was, oh, socialists are coming. That that kind of messaging, but it had nothing to do with Mamdani being a socialist. Not really. It had him everything to do with him being authentic, right? The fact I saw messaging from the establishment, okay, that's not going to work in Missouri. Being authentic, it will absolutely work in Missouri. You know what I mean?
It will work in Missouri 100%.
Yes.
It's why you see Ted Cruz stomping around in shit kickers because
Yeah.
because the reality is looking like the population helps you relate to the
Yes.
population. You have to be locally coded. You have to be able to connect and relate to people locally. And that's also why we need to be very focused on getting more progressive candidates at the
Yeah.
local level so that succession happens.
Yes.
You cannot just pull a progressive candidate out of some, working at a teacher working in a middle school in Iowa and take them to Washington. They will get eaten alive.
Yeah.
You need to bring these people into the state legislature,
Yeah, you
get
need a
some
pyramid.
experience,
A
get some
pyramid of support
experience,
and support.
pyramid
to
of
son,
support.
basically.
Build coalition, build support, get some knowledge about how legislation works.
And
Part of the things that come out of Project 2025 is you could take any idiot on the planet that's willing to talk the talk, give them the
Yeah.
framework from Project 2025, and they
Yeah.
have an operating method and a supporting structure and personnel to go with it, and bada bang. You
And they're
got
expendable.
Mark Wayne
They're a bunch of
fucking
pawns.
Mullen.
Well, and they're a bunch of pawns because as soon as they've outlived their usefulness, all the funding goes away. But we see this, like all the limitless money that goes to hate mongers, to Charlie Kirk and to Tucker Carlson and to Joe Rogan. And then we got guys among the Democrats who go and legitimize those viewpoints by appearing on their podcasts, and they absolutely refuse to come and talk. So it's been really enlightening to me to talk to all these up and coming progressive candidates. And as Anthony says, I've just been giving them, it's like, use this, say billionaire welfare, say let's not teach history like it's the Epstein files, and then because we don't, and that's why I said school board is so important, because we surrender the whole voting base, because we don't even teach kids. We teach them censored history.
Yes. And also that's very much a reason why Moms for Liberty was so involved at the local level trying to get into the school board. That Moms for Liberty gets into the school board, they start banning books, they start making rules about trans athletes, they start immediately at the school board level teaching.
Instead of writing. There's no more writing. Yeah.
Look, as someone who works in AI, we should not be teaching children using AI. We should be teaching children how AI works and how to discern what AI is telling you.
Oh, yeah.
And it could be an adequate base for teaching critical thinking skills, because AI can be a bit of an idiot. But at the end of the day, it's not like you cannot just like, when I look at the policy that just came out on Friday, the White House policy on the use of AI and the way that it is structured. And I wrote about it on my business Substack, not on my political Substack. But their plan is horrifying on what they are going to do with AI in school. Like social media hasn't done enough damage to our children. Wait until AI gets a hold of your children. There are already lawsuits out today directly related to minors using AI and taking their own lives because AI gave them bad information. There was a lawsuit or an event happened recently where this guy was like having a conversation with his AI about his mom, and the next thing you know, he's killing his mom because AI was like, yeah, your mom is gaslighting you. Yeah, that sounds like gaslighting. Your mom is your abuser and all of this shit. And the guy goes upstairs and kills his mom. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think that AI should have been opened up to every fucking idiot in the world. You know what I mean? And
agreed.
people say, well, that's not bucks. Though you're just going to let the billionaires keep it. Well, you know what? Everybody knew about AI years before it was actually released, and you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
right. So yeah, it's like kids are growing up on AI, and here's the thing: the AI corporations, especially OpenAI, like they're monetizing the engagement loops, right? Adult chats are coming, right? I mean, think about that, right? Sex bots, they're coming, man.
Grok
Right?
Grok will remove
Right? Like,
Grok will remove clothing from images.
yeah.
Like, insane. I dropped a link to the AI policy breakdown that I did. It is very business oriented. It is not, it's a little political, but it is much more sort of, this is the breakdown. And I would also, in transparency, say I have a vested interest in this breakdown because I'm in the business of auditing AI. My company has something called the Sovereign Machine Audit. We do proof of safety audits for AI systems. So if you're going to read it with that grain of salt. That is,
Okay.
it's damn near advertising. That's all I'm saying. But
you're
it
good.
is also a very pragmatic dissection of what is wrong with what our American government is planning to do from an AI perspective. But also, I want you to consider that AI is a transnational technology. The good news is many other governments on this planet are very, very concerned about AI. My my company is actually a Canadian company because the US is a little too hostile for us. So, at the end of the day, um, we work with global organizations, and that's why we're very focused on what other countries can do, and what we should be doing to ensure safety, human safety within an AI environment. That's the end of my commercial.
You're good.
Sorry.
You're good. Are we closing out here?
Oh, we've got a few minutes yet. I got time. Do you
We got
want
a couple minutes.
Yeah. Closing,
Look,
closing thoughts?
my closing thoughts for me is yes, the Democrats do need to work on messaging. It's very simple. Coordinated language across topics. Iran, Epstein, SAVE Act. These things are not fucking rocket science. They are easy.
Yeah.
It is very easy to coordinate messaging and do. The cameras are already in front of your face. You know what I mean? But systematically, what we need to do locally is just work with candidates and look, we need to come up with a way to get coordinated messaging. Here's your sheet, right? Every single day, these are the topics. This is what we're talking about. Anytime you have a camera in front of your face, small variations of the same thing. That's how we push back, right?
Yep.
And then other people will do the back end, right? The marketing and everything. But that's my point here.
Yeah.
One of the most important things is we don't have to fucking lie.
Yes.
That's it. We do not have to lie.
Right.
Yeah,
We
and
can be completely transparent.
Yep.
Oh my God. Like,
Well,
you know
how
what
do
I
you
mean?
lose? How do you lose an election against a convicted felon who's also an insurrectionist? It's because you didn't bring it up enough in your,
Yeah.
and
You didn't even fight the narrative war.
yeah,
right?
and that's our issue. Right there is the bigger issue. Like our establishment Democrats deliberately suppress people that speak the truth like we are doing right now. I am
Yep.
finding there is a growing number of progressive Democrats. They're running for
Exactly.
office now. They are willing to come and talk to us. Through them, we can pressure the good ones that are still in the establishment because there are good ones in there who are working within the system. But we need to pressure them. We can't have people coming after me when I say, look, Blue Mag is a problem. They can't say, Walter, you're being divisive. They have to say, yes, it is a problem. Because we should be
Yes.
demanding election recounts. We need to do something about the corruption. They've been stealing election after election since 2020. I interviewed
I'm
Joshua
worried
Hall
about
this
midterms.
week. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's going to be, but we can still win this if enough people get out there and vote. We have to vote. We get our good candidates in there, but we can't act like we can't keep expecting the DNC to be something that it has shown us it is not. And we need to demand exactly what Anthony and Rachel are saying. We got to win the
Right.
messaging.
What the other, I would like to finish up by saying, one of us, all of us, we all know apathetic people who are taking the "my vote doesn't count, who the fuck cares." We need to gather those people up, and we need,
Yeah.
if we have to, take them to the polls with us. Like, you know,
Primaries especially
you
the
know,
primary.
primaries especially, right? Because people have to feel that their vote counts. We have to gather up the apathetic. 37% of the electorate didn't vote in the last election. More people need to be brought back into the fold to actually vote and understand what's going on. Just because you are an unaffected white dude doesn't mean that you shouldn't be voting for the betterment of your non-white dude friends and family. Right?
Seriously.
So
it's
so
important
we
to note,
have to
too-
take an active effort to find
Yes.
our apathetic friends, find our apathetic family, and take them to the polls with us.
And let's also remember, before we get too mad at the voters, a lot of those people did vote, and the GOP just burned their votes. That happens.
Yeah.
They purged them from the voter rolls. So at the same time as, yeah, I get frustrated with people that don't vote, we have to keep in mind we should be equally frustrated with the Democrats who refuse to stand up and defend our vote because
Yeah.
we gave them the power in 2020. I always say this. We played by their game. We gave them all the power they needed in 2020. They had the House, they had Senate, they had the presidency. They could have stopped all this. And the establishment
Yeah.
Democrats do not want to. So we have to
They
pressure
have
the
a
ones that are in
vested
office.
interest in taking advantage of the
Yes.
chaos.
So we pressure
Yep.
the ones in office right now to do better, and then we vote them the hell out. And there's like
Yes.
10% that are actually doing a pretty good job. But yeah, primaries, if we could get 30 to 50% in the primaries, do you think it's not that many?
Primary.
They would shit the bed. You know, they would freak out if we had participated in our democracy. That's what they don't want. So just tell people,
Yeah.
like, this is the best way to say screw you to billionaires. Just go vote, please.
Just go vote. Yes, Walter. Yes, just go vote. You want to tell the billionaires to go fuck themselves? Just go vote.
Yeah. Anthony,
All
you have
right.
a thought?
Look, I think I just lost audio on my head, but I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. So yeah, if we're wrapping up, look, like and subscribe. I'll start doing more lives. Man, I need to do that. I'm just right. I don't know. I like to just write, but I recognize that words matter and certain people say things and those words have effects on others. And I definitely understand that what I'm saying is subtly different than
Yeah.
a lot of everybody's an individual. And so, you know, people connect with that writing. That's how we connect.
Yeah.
But I will start doing more lives, guys.
Let me just put out one other thing about why I've started doing more lives. I see doing more lives as sort of this idea of defending your dissertation. If you can talk through what you're writing, if you can put voice to what you're writing, it helps people better understand and be more willing to actually read more of what you're writing. I am very aware that some of my writing is pedantic and dense. A lot,
I like that.
I start hacking through it and cutting out the emotion and trying to be more balanced. And then the next thing you know, I basically cut all humanity out of it. So I am aware and I am constantly trying to make it better. But I think that what we need more of is more people doing lives, being in that position of defending their dissertations and putting them out there and saying, look, this is what I wrote. This is what I believe. I am not just writing the writing and writing the words. I am talking the talk and walking the walk. And I think that's how we all need to achieve legitimacy and epistemic authority. And I will leave you on epistemics.
Oh, well,
Love
thank
you guys, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. And yeah, just keep coming back. Show up to these fine
Thank-
people. Subscribe, and we'll do this more often. I love you guys. I think you're great.
Walter,
Have a great
Thank
day,
you.
both of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting. I appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thank
you, Walter.
Yeah, appreciate
Bye
it.
now.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.